Welcome to the Marshall Pruitt Podcast, your Week in IndyCar, a listener Q&A show brought to us by dear friends, the Justice Brothers, makers of mighty fine automotive chemicals, lubricants, and cleaners. Please pay them a visit at justicebrothers.com. Learn about them, their vast 80 years of involvement at the Indy 500, motor racing in general, and also equal dear friends in the busiest week back-to-back weekends of the year for our friends at torontomotorsports.com, makers and sellers of genuinely awesome modern motor racing memorabilia, hats, t-shirts, books, stickers, you name it, F1, IndyCar, IMSA, and so on. Going from good old IMSA at Mosport, aka Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, right into the Honda Indy 200 in Toronto. So yeah, they get their 2 big motor racing visits per year regionally on back-to-back weekends. But yeah, pay them a visit, torontomotorsports.com. Please take home some cool stuff from them. And we'll also mention, before we dive into a weekend filled with Sioux Cup sponsored IndyCar racing doubleheader in good old Newton, Iowa, that I have spent a decent amount of time finally doing what I said I was going to do. I don't know, starting a year ago maybe, or longer. And that is add some stuff into my own little store, that being thepruittstore.com. I don't know what the tally is, but I feel like over the last couple of weeks, I've added maybe 50 to 75 new things. A decent amount of those IndyCar related, others being Le Mans, a little bit of F1 stuff, American Le Mans Series, IMSA, sporty car stuff just in general. So yeah, some hats, some jackets, a lot of hero cards, some old school magazines, some other fun stuff. And oh boy, I have a ton more I'm going to try and get in there. But if you get a chance, after paying a visit, of course, to justicebrothers.com and torontomotorsports.com, if you feel so compelled, we continue to try and raise funds to buy ourselves a house here. And a lot of what I'm doing is digging through my proverbial crates and trying to weed out the stuff that I can't live without and sell those items, digging them out of my memorabilia collection. Things that I bought, things I've been given, things I picked up along the way and don't remember how I got them. But nonetheless, yeah, been busy there, and I will certainly be adding more. Before we dive into your questions, all put together by our friend Jerry Sudduth, who tells us we have about 20, almost 30 questions and 1,800 words worth. Just mention some of y'all been really sweet and asking and reaching out via DM or similar. Hey, was hoping to see you last weekend at Iowa or before that Mid-Ohio and didn't. Everything okay? Answer is yes. Try not to put this too loudly out, but just sharing as we often do in the podcast. A couple days before Mid-Ohio, at our most recent interval of cancer screenings and whatnot with my wife, and a little tiny setback. This stuff is never insignificant, but little setback. Not a big one, but one that demands full attention. So she's in a good place. I'm in a good place. This is not like a year or two ago or wherever, where it was like sky is falling reaction. This is okay. Got to dig in, and it's going to suck for a little bit, but we'll get back to norm. So just sharing there. Learned that again day or two before Mid-Ohio, and had to cancel all travel, and decision was to do the same thing last weekend at Iowa, be home this weekend for Toronto. So it does feel strange to not indeed be on the good old road covering IndyCar as I normally do, but at the same time, hopefully my presence feels like I'm almost there, trying hard to make sure that I'm telling the stories, capturing what's happening, sharing insights and analysis and whatever else as best as I can, doing it remotely. So Monterey, good old Laguna Seca home race, is where should be out next. And then we'll be at all of the remaining IndyCar races from there. IMSA race in there, historic event in there. So once we get to Monterey, I believe it's every single weekend through the IndyCar season finale at Nashville. So again, all predicated upon everything at home, getting back into a better groove. But my wife and I are super confident that's going to happen. And thanks once again to y'all for the really sweet outreaches and inquiries. All right. Hey, Jerry does this cool thing where puts together groupings of things. So I'll just rattle off here for group 1, which I think we'll get through, and maybe group 2. Group 1 is, should we crown Palou right now? Can Palou be beaten in 26? How does he compare to other drivers? Am I surprised by the second lane showing up and working at Iowa? Was this Iowa's final race? Has Christian Lundgaard pushed Pato O'Ward's Saturday's race winner to be better? Did Miles Rose win on Sunday in Indy NXT Saturday? But regardless, did that revive his career? And does Tim Cindric's departure impact anything? And will Penske rebound? And another group here about reserve drivers, Joseph Newgarden. Why doesn't IndyCar run at most sport? And we'll see what else we can get through here. So with all that said, thanks again to our pal Jerry Siddeth for putting all the questions together, grabbing them, organizing them in a fun and amusing way. And why don't we just dive right in and get as much of a show done as possible? Go ahead and kick off the show with our pal, our Minister of Mirth, good old Lance Snyder. Lance asks, hey, MP, can we just bring the Astra Cup to Toronto and give it to Alex Palou there? Well, yeah, you can give it to him. I don't know. Do you want him to hold it? That'd be awesome, seeing him trying to check that into the flight. Overhead luggage, maybe, flying out of good old YYZ airport. Sir, you're going to have to put that below the seat. Again, we can give it to him. It doesn't mean he gets to keep it. He's got to still earn the thing, but point taken. What a crazy year. I'd love to know what y'all think. So 12 races are done, 17 total in the year, 5 left to go. Alex has won 7 of the 12. Last time someone did that, it was 1994. Al Unser Jr. Super fortunate to see the majority of those races that year live and in person. I think, but just right. Crazy. Alex is the 4th human being to do this in IndyCar ever. Over 100+ years. So does that diminish your interest, though, in following the rest of the season? Because he is the presumptive, it's over, y'all. We're having a Willie Nelson turn out the lights, the party's over moment here. It's not officially over. Mathematically, there's 7 total drivers still eligible to win the championship. That's crazy, right? As of July 13th, with the points lead Alex built in how many points he has over just about everybody else in the field, there are 27 full-time drivers. Everybody from 8th place back is mathematically ruled. They're done out of the championship. Can't win it. Nothing they can do. So with the point structure, and I'll try not to bury you with math here, 5 races left, as I mentioned. There's 270 total points, maximum points that can be earned. If you were to think of a single driver doing that, pole position, 5 straight races, leading a lap, 5 straight, leading the most laps, 5 straight. Well, there's 4 bonus points right there. 1 for pole, 1 for a lap, 2 for the most laps. 50 points for a max, 50 points for a win. So you could do 54 max at 5 straight races. You get 270 points. Will Power in 8th place 271 points behind Alex in mid-July. Over. Dunzo. From Will in 8th all the way on back to 27th. You're done. This is wild. Like, this is just dumb. So here's another thing. Again, on the topic of, does this still interest you? I hope it does. I lived long enough to have seen this happen a couple times, but not many. And so for any newer-ish fans, this is why I hope, whether you like Palou or not, you like Ganassi or not, again, no matter who your favorite might be, if it's not the guy who's run away with the championship or the team, I just hope from a please hear me now and listen to me later. You're not going to get these. You might get these 2-3 times, twice in a lifetime, maybe 3. I don't know, but super rare. And so I'm just curious to see how far he can go. 7 out of 12. That's how many he's won so far. It feels like he's going to get at least one more, if not 2, just with how the year's gone. 8 wins, 9 wins, like just redonkulous. But the part that really stands out here, and this is to your point, Lance, of should we just give it to him now? He is, my head movies are working well, 129 points ahead of good old Pato O'Ward. This was a pretty close thing between Pato and our guy Kirk Kirkwood coming in. The two of them in around second or third. Kirk had a brutal Iowa. He's, I think, 173 points back now in third place. He's done. 270 total for perfection for the rest of the year. He's at 173-ish down. Ain't happening. It's over. It's truly just Pato who has a Dumb and Dumber level, so you're saying there's a chance percentage of catching Palou. Could still happen. The thing drivers should be doing, honestly, teams should be saving money on chassis R&D and everything else and just trying to hire hypnotists to surround Alex and convince him to retire. It's kind of the only way that the guy's not going to win his 4th championship on the trot. The thing that makes that what it is, it's still not mathematically ruled out of Pato being able to win, but so if Pato has 5 races of perfection, great. He needs Alex to have a Joseph Newgarden close to the year. Joseph Newgarden level of cartoon anvils just bombarding him everywhere. He needs whatever the bad symbiote is, not Venom from those movies and the comic books, but whatever the other bad ones were that have been inhabiting Joseph's entry for the whole season. That needs to leave Joseph and go to Alex's car. And the good fairy, the happy little mirth-filled one that's been riding with Alex, needs to move over to Pato. That kind of dramatic change has to happen. Not just perfection from Pato. Maximum points effectively the whole way out. But Alex needs to just have every single motor blow up, wheel fall off, just everything. The issue here is this. Alex's superpower, among the many that he's developed, we'll talk more about those in a moment, he finishes races. Him good at finishing motor races. Of the 12 so far, he has only fallen out of 1, and it's because he was hit from behind, not from his own error. Odds are he's going to fall out of one of the last 5, maybe even 2. Could be his error, could get taken out, whatever it is. Count him in for some more adversity, because it would be super strange if he just had this one bad finish at Detroit. But I looked back and saw that the largest race-to-race drop in points for Alex was indeed after Detroit, where he finished 25th. So how many points did he lose? How much of his lead was erased by going from leading the championship with, again, relative ease after winning the Indy 500 to getting knocked out, finishing next to last at Detroit must have been crippling. He lost 22 points, y'all. Okay. He's got 129 over O'Ward. He lost 22 points, finishing just, again, call it almost dead last. The reason being, he only lost 22 points to his lead in the standings because nobody has risen up to take him on in a true, like, I'm winning and I'm really, if I'm not winning, I'm second. And whatever it is, I'm getting ahead of you a lot. That's the thing that hasn't taken place. So that's the thing where Pato needs to do nothing but finish in front of him. Alex needs to break trend and type and all of that and have a lot of cartoon anvils fall on him or make a lot of mistakes. But again, we're not talking like, hey, Pato won and Alex finished 10th or 12th. We're talking 20th, 25th. Need to stack up a lot of those to erase that 129 points. So still possible. But as crazy historical as Alex's run has been in 2025, we need to see the close to his season be the absolute inverse. Worst 5 races you've just about ever seen from a driver. And among all of the amazing drivers in the field, Toronto, Laguna, Portland, Milwaukee, Nashville, it can't be Scott Dixon, Kurt Kirkwood, Christian Lundgaard, just running down the list here, Fro, Felix Rosenqvist, Marcus Armstrong, Will Power, Colton Herta, Santino Ferrucci, David Malukas, Scott McLaughlin, or Newgarden finishing ahead of Pato. And so this is by no means any kind of shade being thrown at Pato. Just need to be honest with y'all. Pato can win a couple of these races for sure. But do we really think Joseph, Scotty Mack, Will Power, Dixie, Lundgaard, Armstrong, Fro, Colton, Kirk, I didn't mention Kirk, Marcus Ericsson, none of them are going to finish in front of Pato at the 5 remaining races where he has to be up front to get maximum points? I mean, all it takes is a third and a fourth, whatever, for Pato, and you go, hey, those are great, even if Alex had a bad day, but dude, you just got like 35 points instead of 50 or 54 or whatever. Like, there's just not a big enough gain per race to slice into that lead and overtake the guy. So, cataclysmic year end for Pallet. Yes, just going to stick with it. Cataclysmic end of the year for good old Alex Pallet or Alex Palou. Pato Award perfection, and all the other drivers who we know are just raging beasts have to finish behind Pato at every rate. Like, if this happens, I will come away from the season believing that Alex has committed some sort of cardinal sin that we don't know of and is paying for it. Why don't we go to, where do we go next? Jerry, who'd you line up? We're going to go to our pal Daryl Finch. Asks, can Palou be beaten in 2026? It says, Alex freaking Palou. His ovals were supposed to be his quote-unquote weakness. But he says if his math is correct, he's only been outscored by Pato across the 4 ovals so far by a single point. Says, I realize some of that can be attributed to the cartoon level of comedy of misfortune for the Penske drivers, but even so, how does anyone have a shot at beating Alex Palou in 26? Where does he rank for you in terms of most complete IndyCar drivers you've seen? Let's go with the last part first. He's in that conversation for sure. I would not put him ahead if we're talking not today, but just, right, we're talking about where does he rank among complete IndyCar drivers that I have seen. Scott Dixon, top of that list, 1,000%, for sure. In the modern era, lucky enough to have seen AJ Foyt race, seen Mario Andretti race for a number of years, seen Rick Mears, seen, right, a lot of the legend of legends. I'll just stick to those that are kind of 2000 era plus. Juan Montoya, oh my God, possibly the most talented race car driver I've ever seen. Dario Franchitti, without a doubt. Michael Andretti, oh boy, Ryan Hunter-Reay for sure. Got to mention Will Power, good Lord, Joseph Newgarden. I mean, there's some levels here, of course, right? Got to think about Alex has won on all 4 disciplines this year. Coming into this year, he'd won in 2, road and streets. Added super speedway by winning the Indy 500, and then just added short oval. Those are the 4 disciplines of IndyCar. The guy's now won in all 4. His victory on the Indy 500 wasn't a fluke. The guy, holy crap. Same with Sunday at Iowa. And yes, I realize those 2 cautions weren't awesome, and had they gone at better times, etc., Joseph wouldn't have been disadvantaged. I get that. Alex led 194 laps from pole. I can't tell you if he would have held on and beaten Joseph, but I can tell you that the guy showed on Sunday for sure a really daring approach that we'd never seen before to that level from him on short ovals. But yeah, there's many drivers of this century who you can look at and say, Helio Castroneves, Gilles de Ferran, probably Simon Pagenaud. Oh my goodness. I imagine the more I think about this, the more I'm going to come up with names, but he is in that conversation for sure. I would not put him ahead of a Dixon, wouldn't put him ahead of a Montoya, wouldn't put him ahead of a Hunter-Reay and Power and Newgarden, and right. He needs some more to say, okay, dude, you don't have to win the Indy 500 again necessarily, but another run or 2 like that, no question. Another short oval win, which I feel like he could do this year. That's just where, if you're talking the big group of all-timers, at least the modern era, for sure, Daryl. He's there. Just needs to add a few more. I don't know if he needs more street course wins or road course wins to drive that point home, but a little bit more on the oval side, yeah, we can start talking about him, about the true greatest of this modern era in terms of being an all-rounder. Can he be beaten next year? Without a doubt. Here's interesting thing or two. Try and keep this a little bit brief. Need to credit Honda in a massive way for not just his success, but the success of good old Kirkwood, Scott Dixon, the other Honda drivers who've done really well this year. Honda found some stuff during the off season that has made a vast change in how this championship's been run. The obvious thing is say, oh, well, they found horsepower and torque, right? And sure, of course, you bet. They did. Fuel mileage. Yep. Done that too. That's been a big factor. They've always been really good at fuel mileage. The biggest thing I'd point to, though, is reliability. They suffered from a lot of blowups last year. Granted, Scott Dixon this year would probably say, what are you talking about? Knowing that he's already on his 5th engine or Lord knows what. But routine reliability issues last year, maybe even the year before as well. Alex was still able to win the championship. Honda won the manufacturer's title with relative ease. To react to the poor reliability, especially as you start to get a little higher in engine mileage, closer to that 2,500 mile change out or so, this is where you start having to think a bit conservative. Are we truly going to be pushing for maximum power in the same way Chevy is pushing max power out of their motors? We've got teams paying us for motors, expecting them to allow them to be on track for the entire race so their sponsors can be seen, or the driver who's paying gets what they're paying for, but also to go for the success these teams need to keep sponsors, sign more, etc., get more drivers, paying drivers. So that's where you started to see, I don't know if it was 0.1%, I don't know what it was, but that's where you, without complete faith and reliability, you have to dial back a tiny bit to recover that reliability. If these things are popping at maximum everything, okay, well, let's do a little bit less than maximum. In a series as close as IndyCar, that's the difference. So while Alex was able to continue to win races and or have great finishes and get the title, there's a concession being made. That's been removed. They have spent, I don't know how much, but this stuff ain't cheap, but they have found reliability, found great confidence, and they are pushing as hard as ever. No question, Honda has overtaken Chevy in terms of performance this year. 11 wins from 12 races tells us that Chevy could probably have won 4 or 5. So it's not as if this is some sort of, oh my gosh, this could be closer to equal probably than it is right now between the two brands and wins this year. I don't think anybody would argue, though. Honda found something, and the reliability that allows them to push their motors in ways they were not previously. We got to credit that for being a thing, a very real thing. Did Chevy lose a step? Did Chevy miss a direction on some sort of development that's added to Honda's gain? Is that half the reason? I don't know. We just know Pelot is getting after it. Never complained about a lack of power. Okay. Other part 2, pretty obvious statement alert here. Chip Ganassi Racing. They have found some speed during the offseason as well. Aforementioned victories last year in the championship. Dixon winning 2. Teams in pretty good place last year, but they're in an even better place this year. Here's the part, and I'll roll in your question, Lynn, next to close off Daryl's asking if we saw Alex grow up on ovals this year, especially after what he just did on Sunday. The third element to this, beyond the reliability, beyond the gains by Ganassi, what they found chassis R&D wise, you could throw in a little subcomponent to that of, it's pretty clear that Team Penske's taken a step back, lost a step this year. I'd say Chevy might be a little bit of that, but no, not really, right? Arrow McLaren, they've been Chevy's top fighter all year. Had Lundgaard or Pato somewhere around second or third for most of the season. So, right, they've been up close. Just won on Saturday. Obviously, we saw Joseph almost win both races, so can't really point to Chevy as being a reason. I think Penske, at too many races, though, it's just, right, year by year, these things happen. Hell, Andretti found a bunch and overtook 1 or 2 teams. Or Penske, boy, they really got it, and they each year you find out who did the best job. Clearly, Ganassi's done that, but also it looks like it isn't just a case of doing the better job than anybody, but also Arrow McLaren's been right there behind them. Same with Andretti Global. Penske's P4, I believe, maybe P5. I mean, Shank is up there too. Say they're part of the Ganassi tribe, but so that's been a little bit of the cause for the retreat. But we need to look at the third aspect here, and that is Alex freaking Palou. He won 3 championships using what I refer to as the Dario Franchitti formula. And that's not giving Dario as much love and credit as he deserves, but Dario would always win races, always that multidiscipline animal, but he knew the days. He was very good at recognizing, I don't have it today. Not himself, that he didn't feel capable of driving at a high level, but it's not in us. We're off just too much, and I'd have to take way too many risks. So, third place, here we go. And he'd murder you with seconds, thirds, fourths, throw in the however many wins, 2, 3, 5, whatever it was. He'd just kill you with points capturing. That's what Palou did. Seemed to play to his personality a bit, his driving style. Very quick, very crisp and clean, almost no errors, and just getting all them points. Awesome. Smooth, risk averse, etc. Well, the guy won 3 championships and comes into this year where Honda's made a lot of gains, comfortable pushing even harder. The team's obviously found some gains. Gloves are off. Meet the all gas, no brakes Alex Palou. That is who we have seen this year. We have not seen him before. He has never appeared in IndyCar. Sure, there been a race or two where you go, oh my gosh, did you see that? I'm talking about from race 1, this guy is flat out. Never seen that guy. He showed up this past weekend, Sunday in particular. Did you see the way that he raced Malukas? Alex was getting killed in some traffic. That's another area for him to grow and improve on. But he was getting murdered in traffic. And Malukas would get these amazing runs, get up alongside, maybe get ahead. And this is the point where you go, all right, dude, just lift a little bit, let him go. Second place points. Oh my goodness. I mean, boy, this is going to be huge points. No. Okay. Well, hey. Hey, guess who loves the throttle? Guess who's feeding you a whole bunch of hell nah? And is fighting and taking it back. Or even if you only gave up the lead by a few feet, no. Going in and out and up and down, 2 wide, 3 wide, going side by side. Like, what? Who is this guy? This is the new Alex freaking Palou. This is all gas, no brakes Palou. I love seeing this. That's the main reason I can't wait to see how the rest of the races go. He's the presumptive champion, the one we expect this to go to. But it's not that I don't care about that. Be happy for him if he gets a 4th. That's great and all that. I want to see this all gas, no brakes guy and how much he can do in his first full season. What this guy can get now that not having to be any conservatism on the engine side, and he is just able to drive free, maximum attack Alex. This has been so much fun to watch. That's why I'm fired up to see the rest of the races. But I am curious. Is this something where some of y'all are like, meh, nothing to play for, really, nothing to fight for? I'm kind of tuning out. Or is it, hey, hate Palou, hate Ganassi, want to see him beaten, so I want to see other teams hopefully give him a hard time? Or do you have just a favorite driver from a positive angle? Hey, whatever, Palou, I don't care. I want to see, name the other ones that you love. I don't know. Again, curious where folks are at with how the season has gone, if they want to stay plugged in. But yeah, he can absolutely be beaten next year because Chevy could overtake Honda. You could have, or one of the other Honda-powered teams could overtake Ganassi. There's no guarantee. Would just say, though, the luxury of being a 3-time champion, having used a specific formula to get there, and to say, which he still doesn't really like to say or acknowledge, and says it isn't really a thing. Got to admit, I don't really, buy it. But you won 3 of these. That does give you some freedom to go, hey, I'm just going to go for it. And if I don't win my 4th championship in this style, well, guess what? I got the old one to use and I can get it next year and the year after. Wow, this has just been so much fun. So yeah, all these things contribute to the 7 from 12 we have seen so far. Ed Joris, you're asking, was I surprised to see how usable the second lane was on Sunday? Yep. Started to show up, about halfway through Saturday's race. And yeah, nobody that I spoke to among the really, really good drivers expected this to happen. So it did. And yeah, this to me has made returning to Iowa viable. It wasn't amazing, the best race we've ever seen. We know what those look like if you've been a fan of the series for a while and seen those at Iowa, but this was really promising. Tony Potacoffi asking, is it safe to say that Alex Palou won the last ever IndyCar race at Iowa? And Taylor Solmos and Andrew Miller and others asking about Iowa's future. Lyle James, you're also asking, how does the series get fans back to Iowa? Let me go a little bit reverse order here. I think it was someone in this week's Racer Mailbag, which I, again, spent hours answering earlier, had an idea of like, well, okay, we're in Iowa, we're in corn country, kind of field of dreams. Why don't we take that approach? The place has lights. Why don't we do like a night race, but not like a Saturday night race or Sunday? Why don't we do like a Wednesday, midweek, Friday night? I don't know, but something different that makes it feel special. I think that's a winner, an absolute winner. Do it at night. Try and aim the lights as much towards the track as you can, not so much onto the grandstands in case the turnout isn't amazing. But do that. Field of IndyCar dreams. Hopefully Fox would be game for that. Obviously, they have Major League Baseball, know it well. Who knows? I don't know what kind of crossover they could come up with, but I love that idea. With the weather being what it was and knocking out Friday, definite, clear proof, not as if we didn't already know this, but Saturday, practice, qualifying, and race is what we had. This can be a single day event. This is where I love the idea of, okay, again, maybe we'll think about more what we had for a package there and change some things on the technical side, maybe to improve it, however that would be determined, whatever direction they felt should go. But the idea of, okay, let's not do the predictable same old, that wasn't working because dang near nobody showed up, and bless your hearts for those of you who did. Truly amazing. Thank you. Thank you. You're amazing. But let's not do that again. Let's not do it during the day. Let's not do it over a weekend. Let's not make it a 3-day. IndyCar, to my knowledge, was the sole promoter. Hy-Vee's gone. We knew that. They're huge money, huge marketing investment, promotional investment, all the bands, all everything, all the crazy money they were spending to promote the poop out of this and make it a very special event. That's gone. Knew that, saw that, the effects were seen. Last year's pair of races, terrible. So you delete Hy-Vee, all the crazy money and all the crazy fun and everything they did to bring folks in. That's gone. Plus the folks who were there last year saw 2 of the worst races you'll ever see. Of course this year was going to look like what it looked like. It's just natural. IndyCar is not going to spend Hy-Vee level money on the same marketing and promotions level for a track rental. They don't own the place. They were the promoter, but again, it's a track rental. Thank you, Sukup, for sponsoring it. But again, Penske's not going to spend that kind of money for a place that isn't his own. So it makes sense. I wouldn't either. So do you abandon the place or do you return? You don't come back as a doubleheader. Again, financially, based on what we saw, you could still have a decent amount of folks come back next year. It's still going to look painfully empty. You're not going to sell enough tickets to make anything like your money back. I can't believe. So that's where just pivoting to, okay, we didn't do anything that looked good enough to get a huge title sponsor to come in and spend like Hy-Vee did, so that's a pipe dream. So you just radically change the event. Go to a night race, make it special, move it to a date where you go, hey, that is cool. Let's do that. And hopefully it feels special enough, looks special enough, is promoted. If a Fox would want to do this for, again, a Wednesday night Thunder type deal, Thursday, I don't know, Friday night, I don't know. That, to me, the smartest possible approach, not mine. Again, I was one of the last questions in the mailbag. Love the idea. The biggest overarching thing to add here, with the subtraction of Hy-Vee, everyone they brought wanting to come out to that facility, and the terrible racing that took place that turned off the many diehards. What we saw, well, I shouldn't say many diehards, probably a lot of the interested fans, but not the diehards. What we saw were the diehards, the hardcore fans. That's what we saw. Bless y'all. And it showed what that race looks like without crazy money and promotions. The folks who love IndyCar enough to say, I'm going no matter what. That's what we saw. And it was really sad. And it was jarring. IndyCar can't afford to lose ovals because it doesn't have any other ovals that are waiting to come in. So yeah, I think it'll come back. I would suggest a single race and not just one race event, just a single day. One day, cut the costs of running it to as small as you can. Try to make it as financially feasible as possible for IndyCar, and do it in a way where it's under the cover of darkness, and hopefully is done at a time that feels special in a way that's special out there in Iowa. A beautiful area. I can't think of anything else that's realistic to try and recover the interest in that event. Where do we go next? Matthew Summers. Oh, I love this question. This is a great way of putting it. It says, Pato is putting together his best season. P2 in the championship. Now his to lose. Is maybe Christian Lundgaard, his new teammate. Is it pressure from him? Let's change things. I wouldn't say pressure. I don't believe Pato's ever felt pressure from Christian. Maybe this is just a small derivation or change on what you're asking, but I have seen this as not pressure in Pato's response, but the challenge. I don't think Pato's feeling any pressure from Lundgaard. What he has, though, is like, oh, for the first time here, I have someone I need to beat. First half of the season that we've run, Lundgaard was, for the most part, the top guy. Best results. Pato struggling a little bit. Still doing well, race to race, but Lundgaard, for the most part, was the guy right out of the gate. That's been flipped. This past weekend, oof, that was one to forget for Christian. Nonetheless, I love how Pato has absorbed the challenge and reacted to it. Christian has been fastest number of times. Pato, he's been fastest a lot, increasingly. But you see Pato's championship output, and that's the part where you go, okay, well, this is certainly the benefit of familiarity. Been with the team for a long time, as race engineer, you name it. Lundgaard still learning everything, but Pato's been a frequent podium guy, top 5 guy, 6th, maybe 7th, but he's been having a very Alex Palou season, minus a couple of extra wins. But that's the thing I would say I've been impressed with the most. Lundgaard was the man, 3 podiums from the first 4 races. All right, that's you got to stand up and recognize the challenge as it's been presented. But I then see what he's done here, and it's just locking in. Lundgaard's had a little bit of issue here or there. Hasn't been terrible, but let's just say that for the first time in Pato's career, he has a driver next to him whose data he wants to look at. And I'm not saying he never looked at Rosie's or Rossi's or anyone else's, but Pato's been P1 in that team since he arrived. The other drivers are learning off of him, seeing what he's doing, trying to improve. Pato, of course, would look at theirs, pick up little things, but he wasn't the one coming back after a session wanting to dive in and see what the others are doing. It's the opposite. Now, all of a sudden, he has a real reason to want to look at what Lundgaard is doing. Oh, he's doing that a little bit different in turn 3. Okay. All right, cool. Got it. Lundgaard has that as well to look at with Pato. Lundgaard's never had a teammate who was faster than him in IndyCar. I know Graham Rahal beat him on a couple occasions, but across the season, guy's clear number 1 at RLL. This is the first time he has someone who he's faster than you at least half the time, if not more. So this has been cool both ways. Not just Pato going, all right, I got a rise here. I got a challenge to face, but also Lundgaard going, shit. And I think he's done well with this. Also seeing that with Pato's steep rise, we start to see Lundgaard look a little less magical. How will that play out over the last 5? Cannot wait to see. Andrew Miller was Sunday. An IndyCar career-saving performance from Miles Rowe. Does look like the kind of race that could earn at least a ride and or at least a one-off in the Indy 500 next year. Oh boy, it certainly helped. That was a thing they've been aiming towards from the beginning, getting Miles into the Indy 500. That, I would say, looks like it's on track. For me to think that Penske might want to do more with Miles in IndyCar, that comes with 2 more wins, probably. The situation has been one of, I wonder if he needs a 3rd year of Indy NXT. This win has probably eased some of those concerns, but if this ends up being Miles' only victory of the year, I would say you'd have to get to the end of the season and, being honest, say, needs another year. Some drivers do. Not the end of the world. Not everybody's a effing Kirkwood or a Dennis Hauger, where you go, all right, you only need one. You might not even need the whole one. Some drivers are 2 years, some drivers 3. Again, you can't, I don't hold that against them, but Miles, if you look at his previous seasons in the other USF championship levels, is usually at least 2 years. So would be great if he was ready to graduate, but for him, I wouldn't want to see Miles in IndyCar outside of the Indy 500 thinking, hey, partial season, full season, something, in a AJ Foyt entry, unless he had at least a couple of wins. Because showing up, not looking fully ready, we know what those drivers look like because they perform that way. And if you look at the bottom of the championship, there's a couple of drivers where you go, okay, we're thankful you're here. The money you bring is important to those teams. Weren't ready coming out of NXT, and we continue to see the byproduct of that in your state of development in IndyCar. Todd Hudson, sticking on that theme, says, I know Tim Cindric was a big fan of Miles Rowe. You think Cindric's departure alters Penske's future with Miles? I apologize because I could be forgetting the exact history of how this played out. But remember, believe it was our guy Chris Wheeler reaching out saying, hey, was talking with our man Will Power, who was just karting at, I forget the name of the karting track, in North Carolina, and he was just getting mollywopped by this kid, Miles Rowe. Roger is has started the Race for Equality and Change program. Will thinks this kid would be perfect for it, but Will is rightfully afraid or uncomfortable in taking this to Roger because he doesn't want it to seem like he's got some sort of agenda or motive. Will was, I think, had his Will Power carts at the time that they were making and selling and so on. There was just a conflict of interest concern. I'm a driver for Roger for 10, 12 years now, right? He's my employer, and I'm going to him suggesting a driver and trying to get him to spend money on somebody. I appreciated Will's sensitivity. I didn't really think it was well-founded. I thought Roger would be just fine with it, but I'm like, okay, I get it. What I'm forgetting from here is exactly who I reached out to. I feel like this, I don't remember what year this was, but I think I reached out to Roger. I don't remember if it was a call or a text. I think it was Roger. There might have been a Cindric angle as well. But however it was, I communicated to, I think, Roger, and maybe Mark Miles was talking with Willie T. All right, I'm sorry. Believe it or not, things have been a little hectic over the last 5 or 6 years or 7 years. Power was thinking, well, hey, I know Willie T is a really big advocate for black drivers, and Willie T, with his IndyCar history, I wonder if how do I get a hold of Willie T, and I could maybe ask Willie T to talk to Roger. Roger was talking to Willie T at the time about the race for what was or became the Race for Equality and Change. Okay, sorry. I'm just going to keep this in. I apologize for those of you who want everything swift and linear, but I urge you to get a little bit older and try and keep everything straight. And I ended up talking to Willie T and was like, hey, Power doesn't want to be the messenger. He wants you to be the messenger. Willie T was like, for whatever reason, Willie T was not necessarily feeling that. I think he said, no, man, you should call Roger. However it worked out. One of us, if not, I think both of us might have been on the phone. I don't know. However it was conveyed. And I believe firmly that Tim was a big fan and was centrally involved, etc., etc. I just wanted to get the framing here correct, because Tim being a huge fan and supporter of Miles, I believe all that to be true. No question there. Whenever I would speak to someone about thoughts and plans about what Miles' future could be, Tim was the guy. Roger is the person making it happen financially and is really the main person making everything happen. Tim being gone, I don't believe would affect any of this. Ultimately, it is Roger spending money and Roger who has had this plan in place. The thing I need to get an update on, and I think I know who to ask, but I might need to call 2 people and find out which one of them would know where they're at, because Miles needs to do more winning to give himself the belief and confidence he can go to IndyCar, more than just the Indy 500. Knowing that he's not just any old driver who'd be coming out of NXT, and excellence, not just making up the numbers. We're not looking for tokenism. We're looking for someone who can drive an IndyCar with great capabilities and results. There will be no driver with more pressure, more weight of expectations on them than Miles. You want to make sure that he is ready to show up and show out. So, try and get a update here on where the thinking is within the organization, the Penske organization, on Miles' future, what, where, and when, and what the conditions might be for feeling ready. But at least for what I've shared, those are my own thoughts and what I feel would be targets to hit for our guy. Let's get to the last couple of quick questions here. Lord Thike, MP. We already discussed the issues faced by Team Penske this year. My question is, can we expect them to immediately rebound and find the top level success next year? Or will this be something that takes years to recover from? And as sweet of you, like so many of you are, saying, wishing the best for you and your family. This could happen this weekend, right? They could be on pole and win this race and every other race. Know that we went into a bit of depth about, looks like they've taken a little bit of a step back, been overtaken at least by not just one team, but multiple teams. But there's no doubt they have the ability to win this weekend and every weekend. Would say that when I look to the team of the questions I have to raise looking to next year and beyond, it is, we know Tim's gone. We know that Kyle Moyer left. He was team manager, shop manager, really overlooking the cars and crew more directly. Piece of the puzzle, and I think I might have mentioned this last year, I don't know how resolved it is. Ron Rzuski. He's the managing director, right? He was the number 2 to Tim Cindric, but I always looked at him more than that title as the big engineering brain. And they already have a ton of huge engineering brains on the team. Ben Bretzman, Davey Faustino, Mason, and so on, right? So it's not that with Ron's loss that there's been some sort of huge knowledge drain. I just always saw him as the big picture technical and engineering guy, project leader and or facilitator and so on. What do they do there? Well, the new team president is Jonathan Duguid, who's also the head of the Porsche Penske Motorsport team. But this guy, lifelong race engineer, crazy high level in IndyCar, LEO, and so on. Like, this dude is crazy formidable on the technical side, engineering brain, you name it. Do they seek a Rzuski level person? Is that something that in his absence things have had any kind of derailing there? Since May, again, I don't know, but that's the one piece of that future-looking puzzle where I go, okay, if Duguid did not have the Porsche Penske side to run and look after, not just IMSA, but globally with WEC as well, I'd say if he was solely focused on IndyCar, that's probably your guy who could do the president role and what level of Ron that used to do. Knowing how busy he is, I do wonder if someone in that vein is the final piece that they need. Now, is that a promotion? Did they promote Ben Bretzman, who I mentioned last week, as that makes the most sense to me, and then backfill his position on the timing stand, race engineering, with one of the folks in the pipeline or someone else they hire externally? Don't know. But answer that, and I have a better feel. But when I look to the future, but yeah, I mean, this is the greatest IndyCar team ever. It's not an opinion. It's by the numbers. Won more races than anybody by a really impressive margin. Champion as recently as 2022. Indy 500 winner as recently as 2024. Three-headed monster with Power, Newgarden, and McLaughlin as recently as last year. Majority of the folks who did all those things still there. So yeah, it can happen. They can rebound. There's no way we leave the season without a Penske win. I don't know what I need to bet. I'll eat something. I don't know what. I don't just mean like something that tastes good, like a burrito, but like I'm looking at a lot of things. Granted, everything I see around me in the office here is paper, external hard drives, pens, or books. And I don't want to eat any of those. But y'all come up with what it is that I have to eat. Again, try not to kill me. And I really don't want to throw up. So I don't know what it is. If they don't win a race this year, I know what it is. It doesn't have to be eat something. I have to watch, what would be like, I know Lance Snyder has this going through his head immediately. I'll watch the entire first season of Seinfeld. Just the worst, quote, best show. It is trash. Either that or Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is equally as terrible. If they fail to win a race, that is my punishment. And that is really a punishment. Probably more than anything you can make me eat. Unless it was like a pound of, I don't know, ghost peppers. But that'd kill me. Some of y'all might actually be voting for that option right now. But yeah, that's my bet. The worst, least funny, never laughed, the stupid bass music to try, or music bed to try and tell you something's funny, the laugh track. Oh my, like, I can't tell you how much I hate that show still. And I saw it when it was new. I actually watched the first couple episodes because I like Jerry Seinfeld. Oh my God. Anyways, yeah, no, that's a real thing. I'm willing to do that to myself. I'd have to do that when my wife's asleep because she won't watch that either. So one of the many reasons I'd love her and married her. So there you go. All right. Let us wind up here. Monica Zaremski, you say, why do IndyCar teams not have reserve drivers on the payroll, especially the bigger teams who have the budget? So I know Arlel and Prema have Vips and Grosjean. Arlel also has Toby Sowery. But why don't other teams have someone easily available when a driver is unable to drive? That's a wonderful question, Monica. She also closes by saying, could Team Honda or Team Chevy allocate a reserve or development driver where teams can use them when the need hits? That's a brilliant idea as well, Monica. Yeah. I need to ask some folks about the latter one, because that seems like a super no-brainer to have the nominated Team Chevy, Team Honda driver. Yeah, that'd be awesome. As for why teams don't do it, it just hasn't been the norm. I realize it's maybe a non-answer, but if a thing isn't a thing, then it's not a thing. I know in F1, it seems like there's 5 drivers per garage just waiting to get in, but it's in single driver formula like this, I'm just not super aware of it being much of a thing in IndyCar. Obviously having Vips there, that's been a thing. Frustrating for him, and Grosjean, it's been an interesting one. But to your point, yeah, maybe I need to call around and ask and see why teams don't, or if they might change their mind, and also pose the Team Honda, Team Chevy question. So, can't do this because it's not my own site and doing this stuff for clients. But if you see this story appear, Monica, on racer.com, just know that it will have my name in the byline, but just know that they misspelled Monica Zaremski as Marshall Pruitt. So thank you. Barry Lee, you're asking in a distilled manner. Let's see. It's just me, but it sure seems like Joseph Newgarden's been acting like a big baby. Not sure if there's a bigger powder in the paddock. When things don't go his way, he rushes off and skirts any contact from reporters. Hashtag me personally. I think he's acting like a tool. I hear you. I've been asked this a lot in recent weeks, and I've been, I don't know, I feel compelled to defend him a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't, but I know that the guy finished second on Saturday, which is his best finish of the year. Just say that this guy's been kicked in the nuts nonstop since the middle of May. I would be so much more of a bastard if I was in his position. Whether it is the cartoon anvil routinely taking him out, or Maybe even worse. I have destroyed everybody today. Led 242 of 275 laps. Nobody can catch me. And I finished second. What in the F-a-D F? And then, all right, well, that was just so unfortunate. I'm going to go correct this today. And yeah, I'm not on pole. And yeah, I'm not set. But hey, I know I can get this done. All right, and I'm doing it. And I've come forward. And okay, and now I'm leading. And okay, now I'm a lap down. And now I've got to play the game to try and get it back. Okay, there's enough time to do that. And I'm fighting, and hey, I'm leading, and I'm back. And okay, we have corrected Saturday. And there's are you kidding me? It is now very late in the race, and there is, in the timing, and I've now gone down. And nope, I am not going to be able to fight my way forward, and I'm going to finish 10th. Oh, hey, remember that time you raced at Worldwide Technology Raceway? And you remember when, like, you were kind of looking like you were going to win there because you're good at doing that? And then remember where, like, a dude crashed and came in front of you where you're trying to avoid, and you, like, went flying through the air? And, like, so I know these are excuses. I know that bad behavior, boorish behavior, brattish. Just saying. This guy's been going through, like, the most human things you could imagine as a competitor, as an athlete. This is his job. This is just every day getting kicked in the crotch at the thing that you used to dominate and be the best at. And this isn't one or two disappointments, but seemingly rolling, worsening disappointments. I can understand why, if you're given the latitude to do so, you'd turn around and walk away and give 0 Fs about an idiot like me wanting to talk or anybody else. I don't matter. There's nothing, and when I say I mean, I do mean myself as an individual, but when I say I'm more talking about a reporter, TV, camera, pit lane report. There's nothing I can do that is going to change a thing to improve everything that's been going wrong. I have 0 ability other than being a distraction or probably ask questions that only make me angrier and make matters worse. But there's nothing I can do to change anything. I can understand why a decision would be made, since it has been permitted to happen, to turn tail and storm away, politely skip away, whatever, just stick your fingers in your ear and go la 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 and pretend people, whatever. I totally get it. If this had happened once or twice only and you're getting that behavior, okay, yeah, it might be a little precious. Month and a half, almost 2 months worth of getting kicked in the crotch. I could see how that would be an easy default. Just to close that. So again, I honestly, there's so many questions in the mailbag, so many folks going way harder than what you happen to say, Barry, and who aren't impressed. And again, I can only sympathize. I'm trying to be empathetic. Did occur to me that this is happening after Tim Cindric is gone, and at a time where Roger Penske is not on pit lane on any timing stand, not just Joseph's, but any timing stand. His presence is not present since he bought the series and has stepped away from that on the stand, in the box, team-based race day role, qualifying, whatever else. Hadn't been lost on me that without the boss of bosses there, and without his number 2, very iron-fisted type, this is what we have seen happen, and this is why I've said been permitted, allowed, etc. If we're talking pre-purchase, not happening at all. First year Penske driver Joseph, second year, third year, ain't happening. Not with Roger on the lane. Just flip this. So, do you see someone storming off from a Arrow McLaren pit box with Zach Brown there? I don't think so. Or Tony Kanaan? I don't think so. Do you see Chip Ganassi watch a driver ghost somebody on national television multiple times in front of Chip or with Chip in the general vicinity? I don't think so. Just put it down to that. And this is where, finish this here just a sec, but yeah, you can go, Joseph, you're acting this way, acting that way, and, you know, I don't think anybody's wrong in saying, like, yeah, man, I don't know if I love this. But we all need that person in our lives. Teacher, coach, spouse, parent, sibling, whatever. Yoke you up when you're acting a fool. Hey, Chip Ganassi, if Joseph was driving for Chip Ganassi, that happens once. Okay. That happens a single time. And then you can just let the movie play out in your own mind of what that exchange on camera of Joseph or whomever ghosting a Kevin Lee. I mean, I feel bad for Kev. He's a sweetheart of a guy. He's trying to do his job, or whomever. That is something that happens precisely once. And that is because Chip is in the hauler with Joseph or whomever. And you can hear this from a mile away of the dressing down that is going on. And Mike Hull as well. And name the others saying, nope, you are not doing this again. Or, again, name some of the other team owners and or their team leaders. So, I don't know. I can't disagree. It's not a good look. It doesn't reflect well on Joseph. He's not an idiot. Not someone who's unaware. He's very self-aware. He doesn't care, right? That he's not wired about caring about this kind of stuff. He just wants to drive a car and win races and go back to his family. But I think this is a byproduct of not having that person holding the line saying, no, you can't, I won't allow this, for our team, but for you as well. I know you're mad. I know you don't want to talk. You don't have to say much, but let's do the thing and move on. So I wonder if and how that might evolve, with a little bit of team intervention to say, okay, let's correct that a little bit, get back to a better place. Canadian Bacon, you ask, why does IndyCar not run at Mosport, also known as Canadian Tire Motorsports Park? Cars are just way too fast. And yes, you mentioned that GTPs run there and really fast IMSA cars. Very true. IndyCar is just next level. And yeah, too fast for the track is the generally accepted answer. And if you look at the amount of runoff area, it's one thing to be inside of a GT car with a steel cage around you, or in a two-seat prototype that has a lot of bodywork and a lot of distance all around you between you and tire barriers or similar. Different thing in a single-seat open-wheel car that goes like a rocket really fast down the straights, but through the corners like you just could not imagine. So, yeah, there you go. Why don't we close with Swinglish? You were asking, how much does prize money from races factor into a team's operating budget? The per race prize money, very little. I think it's like 30 grand to win and a little, it's not much. The main thing that factors into teams' budgets, and this is only the top 22 teams of the 25 entry, I'm sorry, there's 11 teams in IndyCar. The top 22 entries in the Entrance Championship, only the 25 that are signed to charters are eligible. Of the 27 full-time entries, all the entries except for the 2 from Prema have charters. So 25. Of those 25, the top 22 compete all year in the Entrance Championship for a leader circle contract. That is something the series, IndyCar Series, IRL, I forget what year, early mid-2000s came up with. There's a case where the big teams were doing what big teams do, which is winning the majority of the races, which means they were taking home the lion's share of prize money at each race back when it was a big number for first, second, third, and whatnot. And a number of the midfield and smaller teams said, hey, we want to get better. That takes more money, and we're smaller or newer, and there's no way that's going to happen if it's just the big teams getting all the prize money. What if we came up with a more socialized way of doing this? And so IndyCar / the Indy Racing League agreed, came up with the Leaders Circle program. And so that program takes the vast majority of prize money set aside for the entire season, puts it all together, and divides it up equally among the top 22 finishers in each year's Entrance Championship. The contract, the Leader Circle contract, is worth approximately $1 million per entry. It's been a little bit higher. It's been a little bit lower. The hope is for it to get a little bit higher again, but that is guaranteed prize money going to teams. So that is where the prize money factors into budgets for those 22 entries across those 25 teams. If you look at what a budget is on average today, $8 million's about the bottom of the shelf, and 11-ish million per entry, right, is about the average. It could be average-ish high. There could be some others that maybe spend a little more, 12, whatever, but between 8 and 11. So the answer to your question is about $1 million of that for 22 of the 27 total entries goes into their annual budgets, and that's a pretty good percentage. Thanks, y'all. Decided to just read through almost every single question. And Adam Joseph, you sent in one I didn't get to. Doogie Davies, and I think I saw a couple that came in after Jerry put the show together, but maybe we can rope those into next week's After Toronto. But nonetheless, thanks, y'all, for tuning in. Appreciate the kind check-ins from some of y'all. Doing okay, and we'll keep doing okay here on the home front. Please pay a visit to justicebrothers.com, torontomotorsports.com, and our own thepruittstore.com if there's anything there, including the remaining stack of Willpower double bird cards. Take those home. Speak to y'all here next week.